Hey friends, welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name's Jennifer. Man, I think it's been like a week since I've recorded. I just have not felt divinely inspired to record this week. Most of my days I have felt more divinely inspired to rest, to meditate, to journal. So I've been doing a lot of that this week. Um, but something that has been playing over and over again within my last week, today I feel called to talk about, and it actually fits well within the high vibe diet that we've been focused on. So maybe this is number 10. I thought maybe we were going to stop at number 9, but maybe number 10 tip in our high vibe diet for 2026 or whenever you're watching this. And this is around the weight. One of the heaviest weights that we carry, I believe, in life is the weight of all the things going on in the world around us, of all the behaviors of people and things that are happening that feel outside of our control, yet we feel like we're supposed to be doing something about it. And that becomes a heavy weight and a heavy burden, and certainly in these tumultuous times that we're living in, becomes very heavy. So I just want to pause for a second and kind of tune in here. I think I'm going to start with a card and see what direction I feel like the direction. I'm going to start here with Wild Reflections Tarot. I feel like the direction that we need to take this in is around, and actually maybe before I do this, let me kind of get a theme going, and then we'll go into the tarot. But I feel that the direction, I'm going to go Sacred Rebels here. I feel that the direction that this conversation is supposed to take is around what we believe about the things that bring us negative feelings. Okay. What we believe about the people in our lives. That's been something I've experienced a lot this week is friends or family calling me and kind of unloading on me their frustrations about particular people in their life. And this is very interesting because we might call this gossip, right? Um, and I would say that there's an energetic frequency to these conversations. And on one end, it's a very enlightened, therapeutic, I would call it verbal processing, right? We can take a position of neutrality and verbally process an experience or a feeling. And then there's a at the other end of that enlightenment spectrum in the darkness, right? There's a very negative, um, you know, creating a momentum of negative energy about or towards a person or an experience. And that it would be the very lower end of that. We got two cards here. That would be the very lower end of that energetic spectrum of conversations about other people, right? So can we take I feel like I can take that neutral position. I can have a conversation and verbally process my feelings from a place of neutrality. I can say, man, I had this experience with this person and I perceived it to be very negative. But I can do that from a place of neutrality because I understand now that that isn't about that person. That's about me. And that is about the universe or God reflecting back to me something I'm believing, something about me, something that I'm believing that is not in alignment with divine truth. That is causing me to move away from what I know to believe is truth. And so being able to verbally process that out loud and then it will help me move that energy. So speaking is moving energy. Okay. So it's helping me move that energy out of my body, especially when it's negative. It's helping me like get rid of that. Right. But sometimes we take negative energy and we want to hold on to it. That's the lower. So I didn't think I was going to go in this direction. Sorry. So let me complete this thought. That's the lower energetic vibration of speaking these words out and verbally processing them, is that when we hold on to the negativity of them and we can't learn and grow and expand from it and we just want to cling to it, it holds us in this dark negative place. It's like this person did this to me and that, you know what I mean? And then you go on, and that might be really how you're feeling. Allow yourself to verbally process it, but next time it happens, allow yourself to verbally process it, and release it. And releasing it means removing judgment from it. Releasing it means being able to take a step back and look at it from a neutral position. Or sometimes we don't have the words and the thoughts and the ideas and the beliefs that will support us thinking neutrally about it. Like we don't understand yet. So sometimes you just have to. So I'm going to use the example of somebody like hurting somebody assaulting somebody, or a murder or something like that. Sometimes we don't have the ideas that allow us to step back and look at that from a neutral position, understandably so. So then how do we just let go and release that energy because it's not serving our body? And that negative energy being pent up and held and clung to and held onto um, creates stress hormones, which ultimately create disease in our body. So we need to be able to release those things. Ideally, we release them by being able to observe them and understand, this is coming from a belief system that I used to hold that maybe I don't hold anymore. Is it time to let that belief go and move in this other more positive, healthier direction? In this direction, on the spectrum of dark delight, on the spectrum of wellness um, to dis-ease, to disease, to unwellness, right? Like, how do I move towards wellness? How do I move towards enlightenment? How do I move towards healing? Okay, and it comes with that release. So I don't know why I went this way, but I guess what I'm saying is stop passing judgment when you are, quote, gossiping. Okay. Judgment, there's no place for judgment in anything we're doing, in any experience we're having. And I know a lot of people have a hard time believing that or hearing that or understanding that. And that's okay. If that's where you're at and you need to cling to the idea that you need to judge those situations, then that is your truth. And Godspeed, right? Like, I love that. And I love that for you to be able to recognize what you need to believe and hold true for you to be safe. And when we're safe, then we can expand and grow instead of contract and wither away and die. Okay. So great. Believe what you need to believe to be safe. If there's space for you to believe that we are not supposed to pass judgment on anything, then hear that and know that even your verbal processing of your negative experiences with others um, does not have to meet the degree of negativity that we put around it when we think of it as gossip. Think of it as verbal processing. Okay. That's what it is. And then what you do with that verbal processing determines to what degree it's negative or positive. And the same for the person you're saying it to. So people say stuff to me all the time that comes from a really low vibrational, unwell, um, unenlightened place. But I can hear it from a very healthy, very enlightened, very love-filled, judgment-free place. I don't have to meet them in that space to be a support to them, to be a love to them, to be an ear for them. And in fact, my trying to meet them in that place only perpetuates the disease, only perpetuates the sickness. My ability to meet them from a place of neutrality, from a place of health and love and enlightened perspective, actually is what allows me to be a healing source of energy for them so that when they're verbally processing, it doesn't even have to be in the words I say as much as the energy that I carry. And I say this, same with you, right? The energy that you carry. It doesn't matter the words. It matters the energy that you carry. And that will go a long way into helping them process and heal and move along that spectrum of disease and unwellness. Okay. So the first one that came out was Pandora's Gift. Okay. I love this because somehow we got on this topic of gossiping about people. I don't know how this happened, but Pandora's Gift is all about opening. You've heard about Pandora's box, right? And it's like, don't open Pandora's box. You don't know what's in there. And I say, open Pandora's box because what's in there is a gift, Pandora's Gift. So you see what's happening? She's opening. Oh, I love this image. Oh my gosh. So she's taken off the mask. She was wearing the mask that was hiding what was in Pandora's box. And now she's opening and all this heart, like, do you see this connection? All this divine revelation is happening, this growth. She's now becoming who she really is because she's taken the mask off and she is now allowed to express and experience herself more fully. Oh my gosh, I would really love to read this card because if I have ever read it, I don't remember what it says. But this is wow. So this is some divine, amazing transformation. And I think this is important as we talk about. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about, sorry, let me also say the other card is what is already with you. So I love this because the gift of Pandora's box is that all the knowledge and wisdom is already here. She just has to remove the mask and remember who she really is and what she already knows deep within that we've been taught to suppress. Okay, it's already with you. This is amazing. This is a 45. It breaks down to a 9. So this is talking about you're coming to the completion of a cycle of this old belief that you cannot open this box, right? to now, so a 10 is the completion of the cycle and the beginning of a new cycle because 10 breaks down to one, right? So the 9 is like you're there, you are ready to start something new, you're ready to open Pandora's box. And what comes out of the box, this is amazing. Look at how these two cards come together. What comes out, this is like the opening of the box, right? And what comes out? Transformation, beauty from within, the light from within. Oh my gosh, I love these. And this is a 17. This breaks down to an 8. So this is all about the idea that there's just such abundance right within here. There's such an abundance of everything, of healing, of love, of light. You see the light coming out. It's all within you. It's all right here. Oh my gosh, I love these cards. I don't know which one I'm going to read, but let me just take this another level. Okay, so we're talking about um our perception of the world around us. So I'm thinking of these conversations I've had this week where several friends of mine have come to me again um, to verbally process what some things that are going on in their life. And of course, things that go on in our life involve other experiences, other people. And so was a lot of conversation this week about the people in their lives, and in particular the people that are pain points in their lives. And I just want to talk through what that means, because whenever God is allowing you to experience something that's giving you a negative feeling, we should be thankful. We should be, yes, okay, it's another experience to release something that's no longer serving me that I didn't even know I was holding on to until this negative feeling alerted me. That's the red flag, okay? Let me give an example. Funny that this popped into my head. So I'm going to give the example from a place of my knowing and understanding today. But this example happened to me when I was 16 years old, getting ready to turn 17. I was like days, I know this because I was pregnant with my oldest son. So I'm 16, literally getting ready to turn 17 because I had him 2 weeks after my 17th birthday. And he is, or I worked at the mall. And my role, as I got to the end of my pregnancy, they had to put me in a new role that was a little less like physically demanding. So they put me at the information desk. And the beauty of this was, again, I had no awareness about that any of this was happening. But now I can see that the beauty of the role of the information desk was that because we had no cell phones, I would literally bring like a cross stitch thing, and I was cross stitching my son a quilt that I was pregnant with, a quilt, a baby quilt. And so that's what I would do because the information desk is a very quiet place. But what that was allowing for that I didn't understand then is it was allowing for an unintentional meditation to happen, because meditation is simply doing nothing like with your mind, right? It's just doing nothing. It's allowing your body to just process energy but not through the thinking mind. It's doing nothing. It's allowing energy and stuff to bubble up to the surface. That's what meditation does, is it's allowing things to bubble up to the surface that will turn into thoughts, and then you can release them. Okay. But usually in the busyness of our day, we don't make space for things to bubble up. Okay. We just suppress everything. So what was happening is I'm sitting at the information desk and things are bubbling up, but I don't understand it that way. But people would come up to the information desk to rent strollers and to buy gift certificates and to get directions, right? What I realized over a few weeks was that every time somebody would come up to buy a gift certificate. Now remember, this is back in the old days where people, if you bought gift certificates, you were paying probably with cash or with a check. Like credit cards, that was back when you had the old credit card machine and you had the carbon copies. And so like most people did not use credit cards. It was usually cash or check. But either way, people would come up and buy gift certificates. And I caught myself. I noticed that every time a person of color came to buy a gift certificate and did not pay in cash, I was questioning whether whether or not that was their check or that was their credit card. Like, did they steal a check or credit card? And I realized this one day and I thought, why I'm only having that thought when it's a person of color, not when there were probably other prejudices. Other judgments I was applying, like maybe depending on how they were dressed or whatever. But in general, it was mostly people of color that I was applying this judgment to. And I recognized it and immediately was like ashamed of myself. I was like, why am I doing that? Where did I learn that? Like my parents were not overtly like, I don't remember my parents making racist comments or telling me anything negative about people of color. My grandmother was very much an advocate for people of color in her workplace. Like where did this come from? Why? I mean, it was like crazy, but that's what that time of quiet, unintentional meditation did, is it allowed the idea it was already happening in my life, right? As I was working, but now the quiet allowed me to recognize it and hear it through this noise. It allowed me to hear it through here. There's something there that you need to release and let go of. And it was this judgment I was placing. Um, and what happened was the negative feeling of shame. We get caught in cycles of shame and we hold on to that. But I unknowingly did a very spiritual process. This was the process of spiritual growth is what was happening. I didn't hold on to the shame. I pulled it away and looked at it from a neutral position, and I said, what is this thing I'm believing? I'm believing that because of somebody's skin color, that perhaps they have less integrity, that perhaps they're dishonest, that like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's just silly. That's crazy. That's part of being in the fishbowl of America that I grew up in. You were, whether you wanted to or not, you were swimming in the water of racism, whether you wanted to be or not. And some of that stuff seeped in. That wasn't just an idea that I considered. It was an ingrained belief system because I didn't even know what was happening, right? It was just happening. It was just who I was. And I was like, And so what the negative emotion it was the divine telling me, this is not in alignment with truth. This is not in alignment with who you really are. Shed this and let it go. Now, I didn't understand it that way at the time. It didn't feel like a spiritual experience. I didn't pray about it. I just said, no. And so what that did was that made me aware. And so I had to kind of carve out some new neural pathways. Again, didn't understand that at the time either. But when I just started to become aware, and every time somebody came up to buy a gift certificate, I made sure that I reminded myself of what I believed was true. That the color of somebody's skin or what they were wearing or how they were dressed or how they behaved had nothing to do with the integrity of that person or the truth about that person. And then I was able to let that go. And that really stuck with me and shaped me and formed my opinions about many things, including racism, for many years to come to this day. You're seeing me use it now as an example. So this example is just showing you that the things going on around you are really just to help you experience life. And we don't need to pass judgment on them. If anything, we need to recognize when we are passing judgment and then understanding why, what it's trying to teach us. So here's what I'll say. People in your life that are bringing you negative feelings, perhaps because of their behavior choices, we want to say they need to change their behavior, but that's not it at all. They're reflecting, thank them, because they're helping you grow. You are attracting the exact people and circumstances you need to continue to expand and grow in this journey on earth. You're attracting them to you. Okay. And when you have learned and grown through something, then, and you no longer need to keep getting those experiences will stop coming. Those people with those behaviors will stop appearing in your life because they're no longer beneficial once you've learned the lesson and transmuted that karmic learning, that karmic cycle of learning. Once you have learned and completed that cycle of learning, it's no longer necessary in your life and it goes away. And when you do experience it, you just don't experience it with the same negativity anymore. And so when you experience somebody who's making you feel negative by their behaviors or their words, that is God showing you one of three things. Okay. It's a mirror. It's always a mirror. It's never about them, always about you. Okay. Just like you are a mirror for them. It's never about you. It's always about them. Right. So how they feel about you is about them, not about you, and vice versa. Okay. So when you see that negativity, it's a mirror and it's telling you one of three things, but you have to, before you can really understand what it's telling you have to feel safe and loved enough to be able to examine yourself. And many people are not. So step one, if you don't feel like you can be brutally honest with yourself about this stuff, is start by doing some root chakra energetic work, meaning working on who am I? Who do I believe I am? And finding finding safety in who you are, finding safety and security. And I don't even know another way to say it. Find safety and security in who you are, I think, is just the way to say it. My ego mind wants me to put more words to it. Spirit's like, no, it's just that. Become safe in who you are. Love who you are. Okay. And when you can do that, you can start to examine who you are and examine who you are portraying in this life and examine it in relationship to who you believe and who you know at a deep soul level you really are, and start bringing that closer together. Okay. So if you can come to yourself brutally, honestly, and evaluate this stuff, here's what you're going to learn. When you look at someone else and you feel negative about their behaviors, it's either showing you a reflection of who you are that's out of alignment with the divine, out of alignment with your true self. So if you see somebody that is abusing other people in one way, it could be reflecting back to you that, hey, you might also be abusing people, maybe not in that same way, maybe in a different way, but you got to get down to the core of what is it that they're doing that's really bothering me and why. And it could be reflecting something that you are also doing that's out of alignment with who you really are. Okay. Number two, if you look at a situation and you say, no, That is not me. I would never do anything like that. Or when you get down to the core of what that action is really doing, I would never hurt somebody like that. I would never take advantage of somebody, whatever it is, right? So maybe you really know, okay, that is not about anything that is me. Then perhaps it's about something that you are passing judgment on. Okay. So it's not reflecting back to me. It's reflecting back to me the things that I'm judging harshly in this life. And remember, we are not supposed to be judging anything. We do not have the divine perspective and enlightenment to be judging any situation. So that's the reflection then, is the judgment. What are the things I'm judging in life and why? Why am I passing such harsh judgment on these things? And why can't I let that go? And number three, if it's neither of those, sometimes what you're seeing reflected back to you are the things that you wish you had. Okay. And you have disdain for the fact that they have it. Okay. Maybe it's an outspoken person and you can't find your voice. And it just grates on you that they have the audacity to speak their mind when you can't. Maybe it's somebody who has a fervor for life and is just thoroughly enjoying life when you feel stuck in turmoil and strife. And so when you see people reflecting the things that are missing, so it's one of three things, right? It's either something you've lost, something you've given away, or something that has been forcibly taken from you. Okay. And when there's something that you're missing in your life because you've given it away, you've lost it, or it's been taken away, and you see it in other people, you are actually attracted to that person most often. That's why you find spousal situations or partners where it's kind of that opposites attract, right? They're bringing you into wholeness with the parts of them that you're missing. Okay. The real spiritual evolution is when you can bring that back into yourself and find wholeness within yourself. But until you can figure that out, finding the partner who brings that back into your life is what gives you a feeling of completeness or wholeness, although not a perfect wholeness, right? Um, but oftentimes it's those things that we see in other people that give us a negative feeling that we're like, oh, I can't stand that they have that they do that. And it's really showing us something deeper that we're longing to fulfill within us because it's a part of who we really are, but we've lost it and we need to bring it back in. Okay. That comes back to that chakra balance too. It might be finding your voice. It might be opening up to be loved and allowing ourselves to be loved. And you see them allowing themselves to be loved. And why can't I be loved that way? So think about a scenario where maybe you were historically in a really toxic, unhealthy relationship, and then you saw somebody else's relationship that was really good and sweet and pure, and you're like, gross, like who's really like that, right? And it gave you a negative feeling. That's spirit saying you're believing something that's out of alignment. And what's out of alignment is your belief that you have to sit in this toxicity, and your belief that this more loving, pure relationship can possibly exist. That's not in alignment with divine truth, because divine truth is pure love. God is pure, perfect love. So it must be possible because it exists. And not only does it exists in you because that's who you were created to be. So open the darn Pandora's box and find it. But first, you've got to be willing to let go of the darkness, the things that are holding you in darkness, the beliefs that are holding you in darkness, and let what's already within come out, okay? And enlighten and wake up your world. I don't even know which one to read. I think I'm going to read Pandora's Gift because I just felt more intrigued about reading that. I also did say that I was going to do a tarot card, but I feel like I've talked enough, so I don't think I am. Okay. Number 45, Pandora's Gift. There's a mythic woman. Okay. Now I just want to say gender has nothing to do with this. This is about the feminine energy of that of being enlightened, being spiritually, just receiving the spiritual truth, being enlightened and releasing that which maybe you were holding on to that you don't need to be. So there's a mythic woman, much maligned throughout history, whose name means all gifted. Pandora lives within us as curious nature, yearning to conquer chaos. Oh, I love it when God does this. Like, this is it. This is what we're talking about. This is the message. Yearning to conquer chaos, evil, and darkness with the light of knowledge. Let me just remind you, no person is evil in your life in the sense that you believe it, meaning that they are bad. Bad means you're placing a judgment, okay? Evil just means they're living in a state, they're not living. They're in a state of death, a state of darkness, a state of darkness. So maybe you're living in evil, living in sin, meaning that you're missing the mark of who you really are and the experiences you're really meant to have in this life, the experiences of divine love, the experiences of peace, the experiences of joy. When you are denying yourself that and you're crucifying your divine nature every single day on the cross and giving it up to dark thoughts and ideas and shame and guilt, that's evil. Okay. So she is, let's see, so sorry, I digress. Pandora lives within us as our curious nature, yearning to conquer chaos, evil, and darkness with the light of knowledge. She is the hopeful voice of our soul that asks the question, and in doing so, triggers the process that brings the answers. That's what I did when I was 16. I didn't understand what I was doing, but I was spiritually growing, folks. And I do it every day now. Every time I have a negative feeling, I don't get mad about the feeling. I say, oh, what is this showing me about me? Sometimes it is through uncomfortable learning that we find our treasure. Pandora reminds us that the process of learning can take us to places that seem like the end of our world, and yet all is not lost. Even now, the light within you is stirring for new revelation, new life, and new adventure. Pandora is all gifted and all giving. Her presence invites you to forego your belief and judgment. Now is the time to surrender the misplaced guilt that you may have brought upon yourself or another, some terrible happening. It is time to let go of the shame-based belief in punishment. That's right. It's not about punishment. This earth experience is not a courtroom. It's a classroom. It's about learning. Karma is not about what goes around comes around in the sense of like you get what you deserve. It is about the learning. It's about it comes around until you learn it. And it comes around again to make sure you really learned it. And it comes around again until you've really integrated it into who you are. And it just happens without thinking. Okay. My racial prejudice was happening without me thinking about it, wasn't it? So God had to do something to bring it into my awareness. I went to high school with all white people, all white people. There was literally one black person in my graduating class. So I could not get the right experience in my daily life at school or whatever to open my eyes to this deeply ingrained, deeply rooted separation, right? Because enlightenment is an awareness of unity, is awareness of our oneness, right? I had a deeply ingrained dark separation between myself and other parts of creation, namely people of color, right? There's a separation. Like I was friends with that black person in my school. I didn't know I bared this prejudice. I didn't know I bared this judgment until I had an experience that showed it to me. And that was in my workplace, right? So thank you. Thank you, Spirit, for giving me that job, for giving me for I wouldn't have never ever been at the information desk had I not been 9 months pregnant, 8.5 months pregnant, and I couldn't do the physical stuff. Like all the things had to align perfectly for that experience to come into my awareness. I mean, and that's how beautiful the tapestry of divine is. Nothing happens for no reason. Everything happens for our experience and learning and hopefully for our joy. And that's exactly what happened because now I was able to many years ago remove that dark stain. I don't know if stain's the right word. That has a negative connotation to it. I was able to remove that blindfold, right? Because we come into the earth existence, the human existence, blindfolded from all divine truth. And it's just about having these experiences that help us peel back more layers of that blindfold. Okay. So it was just one more layer that I was able to peel off that then allowed me to find more joy in the world. Um, oh my gosh, where am I? I so digressed. Pandora is all gifted and all giving. Her presence invites you to forego your belief and judgment. Now is the time to surrender the misplaced guilt you may have brought upon yourself or another, some terrible happening. It is time to let go of the shame-based belief in punishment. This is a belief that you deserve to be brought to task over any perceived imperfection or that your natural human journey somehow renders you inadequate. Pandora frees the soul from such torment. This is her gift. The human journey necessarily involves learning through experience. There's no shame in your learning process. Pandora's presence is the sign of a new time, a time to swap the notion of inherent shame for the for the acceptance, I'm sorry, of inherent divinity. From this moment on, how unstoppable you shall become. And I'll say that. I'm going to stop there. There's a whole nother page, but like, that's it. Um, I like this. I'll read the last sentence. If you choose to develop and express this seed, step by step, it will become an extraordinary light in your life and in the world. So poke your tongue out at the naysayers and turn your attention to the bright hope within. You were born to strut your soul stuff. How beautiful of a message is that? Open up the box and let all that's within come out. I love you so much. I hope this was helpful for you. Peace out. Have a wonderful day.